What's up, everybody? Jay here from Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you with a little top 10 list today. So this will be Derek and I's top 10 cards from Aether Revolt that we feel are kind of the most pertinent cards for Commander or EDH. So this is just our personal take on the top 10 from Aether Revolt for Commander. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree, and that's fine. That's completely fine. Let us know in the comment section below, what you thought of our list after I give it to you guys. We really do like to hear your comments and suggestions and stuff like that. So, without further ado, let's get right on into the top 10 here. So excuse me if I have to look down. I have the list of the cards here on my phone. But our number 10 for this, I actually did kind of rank them myself from 10 to 1. So number 10 is Consulate Crackdown. So it's a 5-cost white enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile all artifacts your opponents control until it leaves the battlefield. So I feel like this set really does rely heavily on artifacts, whether or not you have artifacts on the board for them to do something, or if your opponents have artifacts on the board. But generally, you're probably going to see artifacts when you're playing Commander. So this is kind of like an Oblivion Ring, I guess you could say, just for artifacts, but it all encompasses your opponent's all of their artifacts. So I felt like that deserved a spot on the list just because it will exile all of them. And if you're playing multiplayer, it will, if you have 3 other opponents, it will exile all 3 of those opponents' artifacts. Another reason why it's not kind of higher on our list as far as pertinence is because it'll probably generate a lot of hate pretty quickly. Especially if your opponents have a lot of nice artifacts that they want to get back. Someone might be gunning to destroy this enchantment. But for what it does and for its cost, it's very nice. So that's our number 10. Number 9 is going to be Metallic Mimic. So it's a 2-cost, 2/1 artifact creature shapeshifter. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. It is the chosen type in addition to its other types, and each other creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So I really like this card, as a lot of you probably know. I love to build tribal decks. They're one of my favorite decks to build. So this card is just so good if you're going tribal. And a lot of people do enjoy, not just me, but a lot of people do like to go the tribal route when they build an EDH deck. So this card just fits right into any tribal deck. Not only will it become the tribe that you want, obviously if you're playing something maybe like goblins, you'll probably call goblins on this. Or, in my case, maybe soldiers or slivers or, allies. The list goes on. So basically for any tribe that you're playing, if you're playing a tribal deck, I would definitely include this card. And what's really good to note about this card, if you compare it to something very similar like Adaptive Automaton, which essentially kind of does the same thing, but it gives an Anthem effect instead of the 1/1 counters. So what I really like about Metallic Mimic is that after it goes away, if somebody kills it or, exiles it or whatever it may be, if you've cast other creatures of that tribe, this will put 1/1 counters on it. Won't just give it a static +1/+1. So even after the Metallic Mimic goes away, the creatures that benefited from it being on the board are going to keep those 1/1 counters. So that's what I really like about this card over Adaptive Automaton. So that's our number 9. Our number 8 is going to be Scrap Trawler. He's a 3-cost, 3/2 artifact creature construct. Whenever he or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost. So again, you know, like I said, this set does have a lot of cards that are kind of reliant on having artifacts out. But the reason why this ranked a little higher than the last two cards is just for the sheer recursion that this card can give you. Yes, you have to be playing artifacts. Excuse me. You know, you probably want to be playing a decent amount of artifacts in your deck to really, you know, take advantage of this card. But just the sheer amount of recursion that this card can give you is really, really great. And it only costs 3 mana to play. So, you know, if you have like a Wormcoil Engine, for instance, and it dies, you can take back to your hand an artifact card that costs 5 or less. So that's really good. So, you know, you Breya players out there, maybe there's some other commanders out there that revolve heavily around artifacts. This guy is probably an auto-include for you. So that's our number 8. Our number 7 is Disallow. So it's a 3-cost blue instant via 1 and 2 blue. Counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. I generally, I don't play blue very much myself, but the fact that this is basically a Void Slime that's just mono blue is really, really nice. So not only would this counter a spell, but it'll also counter activated and triggered abilities. So what I really like about this card is that if someone is in, maybe, you know, somebody's playing a combo deck, and, you know, you see the pieces on their side of the board start to form, and you know they're going to go off at some point soon. Maybe you didn't have this card in your hand to stop a piece from hitting the board, but maybe you draw into it. And now, if they try to go off with that combo, unless they can respond somehow and basically reactivate the combo or with another card to get the combo going off of something else, you know, you could cast this and counter the activated ability of something that they're using, or the triggered ability to shut the combo down. Or you can just straight up use it to counter any spell. So I really like that a lot. Void Slime, I think, is like a $6, $7, $8 card for good reason. So the fact that this card is that, just in mono blue, makes it a lot easier to cast. So that card gets my thumbs up, and I'm not really a blue player, so that kind of says volumes about the card. Next up, number 6 is Heroic Intervention. It's a 2-cost green instant via 1 and a green. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. The reason why I really like this and it's ranked so high up the list is because Avacyn Angel of Hope is a really expensive card for good reason. So, you know, this card will basically do what she does and give your permanents. It's not just your creatures, not just your artifacts, all your permanents. Gives everything you have on the board indestructible and hexproof. Granted, it's only for 1 turn, because it is a spell, it's an instant, but just the 2 things that it brings, indestructible and hexproof, is really, really nice. You know, you could use that to counteract a Wrath. You could use that to counteract somebody, you know, trying to target multiple things of yours, maybe with some sort of combo or things of that nature. It's just really, really nice. And for 2 mana, giving all of your stuff hexproof and indestructible is really nice. There's just so many different ways you can use that. You know, you could use it to stop a Wrath, or at least stop it for you. You could be tricky with it in combat. You could use it offensively or defensively. You know, if you swing in and your opponent blocks in a way that you don't like, you could cast this, give your stuff indestructible. Or if your opponent swings in and you block and then cast that. Or, like I said, if your opponent is targeting multiple things of yours on the board, maybe via a combo, you can use that to give your stuff hexproof so they can't do it. It's just many different ways you can use this card, and it only costs 2 mana. So it's really nice. I like it a lot. Next up we have, excuse me, Ajani Unyielding. So one of the planeswalkers in the set. He's a 6-cost planeswalker that's green and white. So he costs 6 again via 4, a green and a white. He comes in with 4 loyalty counters. His +2 is reveal the top 3 cards of your library. Put all non-land permanents revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So essentially anything that's not a land or an instant or sorcery will go right into your hand. -2, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. So a Swords to Plowshares on a planeswalker is pretty nice. And then his ultimate -9, put 5 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control and 5 loyalty counters on each other planeswalker you control. So, you know, generally planeswalkers' ultimates are usually, you know, called ultimates for a reason because they're extremely good. And that's the case with Ajani. Putting 5 1/1 counters on your entire team and putting 5 loyalty counters on each other walker that you have on the board, if you do have any, is just amazing. I mean, I mainly like him for the Swords to Plowshares on him. You know, being able to exile a creature every turn, basically, as long as you can keep ticking him up and then using that, is just really nice. You know, I don't need to tell you guys that there's lots of creatures out there that you don't want to be staring down across the board. So the fact that he will exile them and get rid of them forever is nice. And the you know, the +2 of basically stocking up your hand with anything that's not a land or a spell, an instant or sorcery, is just really nice too. So that's why Ajani ranks so high on the list at number 5. Our number 4 is Aid from the Cowl. It's a 5-cost green enchantment via 3 and 2 green with new mechanic Revolt, which is basically a broader spectrum Morbid. So Revolt will kick off if you had a permanent leave the battlefield. I believe that's what it does. Yeah, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. So it's essentially a broader spectrum Morbid. But what it does at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. So that card, it's just amazing. So if you're playing green, I would absolutely play this card. So it's not going to be that difficult for a Revolt to kick off. If your opponent kills one of your things or exiles one of your things or whatever it may be, all the card has to do is leave the battlefield. So it's not going to be difficult to kick that off. Plus, a lot of people like to play sack outlets in their deck, or if you're playing a blink deck that, you know, has multiple ways to flicker things in and out of play, this card is just really easy to kick off with the Revolt. But what it does, you know, you look at reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a permanent, you just put it onto the board. Or you may put it onto the board. If you don't want to, you can just put it on the bottom of your library. So what's really nice about this is if you flip into a permanent, if you want, it goes right onto the board for free. If not, at the very worst, you're filtering the top of your deck to the bottom. So if you see this card and it's something that you maybe don't need, you can put it on the bottom, and now you're just getting to the rest of your library faster. So this card does lots of really good things. I could definitely see myself cutting this into a lot of my decks that run green. So that's our number 4. Our number 3 is going to be Lifecrafter's Bestiary. It's a 3-cost artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. And whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay a green. If you do, draw a card. So you do have to be in a specific color to really get the full effect out of this, but if you're playing green, you know, unless you're playing a monocolored deck, green is one of the most predominant colors in Commander because it grants you access to ramp, which is one of the main things that you probably want to be doing in Commander. So this just slots right into any deck that you have that's running green. So not only will it give you the option of scrying on your upkeep, scry 1, so you get that top deck filter. Every time you cast a creature, you can pay a single green mana to draw a card. And drawing cards, as we all know, is another thing that you really would like to do in Commander because your library is 99 cards. So drawing extra cards is always really nice. So not only will this give you that top deck manipulation, it will let you draw cards off of casting creatures. So that's an extremely powerful effect. So that's why I ranked it so high on the list. All right, our number 2 is going to be Planar Bridge. It's a 6-cost legendary artifact where you can pay 8 and tap it, search your library for a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library. That's an extremely powerful effect. Yes, it does cost a lot of mana at 8 to activate, but the fact that you can tutor your library for any card, any permanent, so you can't tutor for instants and sorceries, but just the fact that it will let you rip any permanent out of your deck and just slam it on the board is an extremely good effect. Again, it does cost a lot at 8 to activate, but getting to 8 mana in Commander isn't unheard of. Especially maybe if you're in green, you have some mana ramp going on. It's definitely not unheard of to get to 8 mana in Commander. You have access to mana rocks and mana ramp and, things like mana reflection that double your mana. Cryptghast, Nirkana Revenant, the list goes on of things that double your mana, Extraplanar Lens. So this card, for what it does, is just amazing. And if you can afford to spend that 8 mana every turn, even if you don't have ramp, maybe you just have, 8 lands down, or maybe more than 8 lands down on the board, and it's late in the game, maybe you're empty-handed, and you're in top deck mode. Having this card on the board will basically let you just rip through your deck for the answer that you need, if it's permanent based, and just put it on the board and maybe deal with something that's giving you a headache. So just the sheer power of this card is really, really nice. I personally do want to cut it into a few of my decks. Tutoring is always great. To find an answer to a problem that you're having. This basically does the same thing, but lets you just slam it down on the board if it's a permanent. So, that's our number 2, Planar Bridge. Finally, our number 1 card is going to be another artifact, another legendary artifact, Paradox Engine. So it's a 5-cost legendary artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-land permanents you control. So the reason why I ranked this so high is that it's just amazing. I mean, what can I say? For 5 mana, for what it does every time you cast something, you untap everything that's not a land. So yeah, you're not going to untap all your lands so you can cast more things. But if you're playing a deck that's heavy on maybe activated abilities or things of that nature, this card really does lend itself to kind of like combo decks that have lots of like tap to activate style effects. It kind of really does lend itself heavily towards something like that, but you also have things that you could do where you could maybe swing in with all your creatures and swing in at somebody. They take a bunch of damage, and then during your second main phase, you cast a spell. Now all your creatures untap, and now you're not defenseless against the next player that's in turn rotation. So, there's that you could use it with. you know, there's just so many different ways that you could abuse the crap out of this card. You know, I just, there's just so many ways. I can't think of any more off the top of my head right now. But so that's our number one Paradox engine. I think it deserved the number one spot just for the sheer amount of shenanigans that you could do with it. And it is a mythic rare, so, you know, rightfully so. I think it is well deserved of the mythic rare slot. A legendary artifact, which is pretty fitting for what it does because it is just pure shenanigans, the things that you could do with this card. So that is our top 10 list of cards from Aether Revolt that we think were the most pertinent in Commander. So let me know what you guys think of the list. You know, if you agree, disagree, maybe you would rank the cards differently, or if there are other cards in the set that I didn't put on our list that you think would deserve a spot on a top 10 list. You know, let me know in the comments below, because we really do love to hear your comments and suggestions. If you did enjoy this video, crush that thumbs up button. It really does help out a lot. The more you guys crush that thumbs up button, the easier it is for other people to find the content on our channel. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, Tap and Turn Gaming, please crush that subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. Also, next to that subscribe button, there is a little bell icon. If you click that, you will be notified each and every time Derek and I upload a video. So, with that said, that about wraps up this video of our top 10 cards from Aether Revolt for Commander or EDH. So again, hope everybody enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks a lot for watching.